Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Software Engineer K here, and we have a lot of cool stuff to go through today. So we have an update to the upcoming drop, so we are going to be going through exactly what's happened with there, my predictions on the drop, just going over a bit of the changes on the edition size as well. We have an update with regards to the upcoming OMI staking, OMI Utility, which was discussed in the live AMA at Decon with Taps Trades, Reese, Alex and Noah. So we have one bit of really cool bit of information, so we're going to be touching on that. And I did also want to go a little bit through kind of drop success, just kind of what could happen when we see alternative drop systems as well, and what some of those proposed systems could look like. And lastly, we're going to be going through the price of OMI for today. So first off, the upcoming drop. Tomorrow, we do have the reveal of the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer. And we should see, possibly, I suspect, a closer look at the Green Goblin, which is probably why they've done this Green Goblin drop. So in terms of the edition size, they have updated it. It is now 70,000 editions. Now, typically we would see about 30,000 editions, some 10,000. This time we're seeing 70,000 editions, which is more than double. And that is purely because I believe they want more people to have a chance at the comics. It has gone to the point where the user base has grown excessively large. And so 70,000 editions, that should be enough. So that you know, pretty much most people have a chance at landing one of these comics. So if you've been missing the comics consistently, then now should be your chance to kind of, you know, have a fairly good shot at picking up one of these comics. Now, in terms of the valuation, this is actually a pretty valuable comic in real life. You know, we're seeing some fairly low graded ones going for quite a decent amount. So, you know, I can see a 1.0 here going for over, you know, 1.3k GBP. That's like about 1.6, 1.7k USD. You know, we've got another one that's about 1.1k USD. This is a 0.5. Like, this looks crusty as hell, but it is still going for a decent amount. So, you know, the historical significance. This is a classic comic, 1960s. Let's see. I think there might be a higher rated one somewhere. Can we find one? Okay, here we go. There's an 8.0 here for about 8,000 GBP. So, you know, about, you're looking at roughly 11k USD. So they are quite valuable. So in terms of, you know, even with the higher edition size, I believe this is going to be one that will hold some good value. What do I predict? Well, I predict that the commons, they are going to be with 49,000 editions. I predict these are going to be going for slightly under retail, but not for very long. The people who do list it under retail is going to be very short term, because I believe that given the historical significance of this comic, even with 49 editions, I think it will be, you know, selling slightly above retail fairly quickly. Uncommon, you know, I can see going for about 20 gems. Rare, I can see going for 40. Ultra rare, 120. And a secret rare, I believe on the day people are going to kind of stick it up for something stupid like 600, 700. But I can see this going very quickly for double that as well. I predict that the other comics that we do have on the market, those are going to gain value very quickly, because one, people who sold off their comics for gems for Decon and Disney Week, like, you know, that's all over now. And two, there is going to be an updated Master Collector Program article coming out. There are going to be updates to it, and, you know, because like they said, they are going to be adding new features, they're going to be revising things. It's an iterative process. One of the things that they said is comics are going to be revisited. You know, they're going to be getting the attention that they deserve, because secret rare comics, they have been kind of ignored a little bit with the current iteration of the Master Collector Program. That's fine. They took on some feedback from the community, and we are going to see the action. So let's just wait and see exactly how many points we will get for secret rare comics. Now, on the point of resurgence of various different collectibles, Marvel is a top IP. It made no sense to me that, you know, Marvel collectibles, which have lower edition numbers than some of the Decon collectibles, also being a much larger IP, and having, you know, various different utility, was going for less than what some of these decon collectibles are going for, and that led me to two different conclusions. Either Marvel was being extremely undervalued, or some of these decon collectibles were being overvalued, predominantly driven by hype because it's something new. I believe it was kind of a mixture of both, but now we are seeing Marvel, gems are flowing back into the collectibles that people really want, and it seems like Marvel seems to hold a lot of longer term value. We're seeing, the Athena ultra rare that came out with Eternals that is now coming up to 300 gems. I think it's surpassed that now. My favorite pick was actually the Secret Loki because it's secret rare, so it's got quite a lot of master collector points that attach to it. It's animated, ultimate animated, it's FA. It's got a very low number of editions, 800 rather than 888. So yeah, this is kind of one where I would say this is one of the better pickups if I was to go for one. But the Marvel Mighties, if you haven't completed those sets, those are fairly inexpensive sets, relatively speaking, compared to others to complete. So, a lot of good deals on the market, and I always say secondary market is where the big gains are usually made anyway. Now, just on the point of OMI Utility, so on the AMA they discussed OMI staking, so what I'll do is I'll just share this with you guys, this little clip here.
Company, right? So I do want to touch a little bit on OMI and ask, OMI Utility, Noah, you said that the OMI Utility is all ships ahead. So does this mean that the OMI Utility article is coming out soon? And will it actually touch on the staking abilities anytime soon? Or
I have written that article.
That was what you wrote?
Also, there is indeed staking. 3 different tiers of staking with different features. There is the OMI drop lottery, similar to the Master Collector drop lottery. You'll be able to buy accessories with OMI. You'll be able to transact in the market with OMI. And we've got a few pretty fun little ways to burn more and more tokens from supply.
So it'll actually cover like some of the burns too.
Absolutely. Now I will caveat this and say, similar to the Master Collector, it's a work in progress. We want your feedback. Please don't put your house into this investment until things are finalized. That's how we like to iterate these. So yeah, bear with us on that.
That's the most.
Okay, so they've stated that there's going to be more OMI burn directly from circulating supply. Right now, we are only burning from the reserve wallet with buybacks halted, but those will resume. Now, what's interesting is Reese spoke about using OMI to purchase accessories, using OMI as a way to burn OMI in order to get you into a lottery system. And people have been asking about a lottery system, so we are going to be getting a lottery system as one alternative form of drop system. So in order to do the lottery, you would burn some of your OMI, and depending on, it's similar to the Master Collector kind of wagering your points. I believe, you can choose to burn more OMI to increase your chances, similar to the Master Collector program where you would wager your points, and the more points you wager, the higher your chances of guaranteeing your collectible in that lottery. So, we're going to kind of have these different concurrent systems. So those who want to go for the lottery route versus those who just want to go for the buy now route, you can kind of have a drop that has pools of collectibles for either type of drop system. So hopefully this should appeal to everyone. Now again, there are always going to be limitations, so that's kind of what I just wanted to discuss next is when you are taking the VeVe drops to kind of like a more professional level, because we have to remember that a lot of people kind of just do it as a casual thing, and it makes sense, right? I don't expect normal people to kind of sit there and study all of the different ways to reduce your latency and all of the different tips and tricks to securing VeVe collectibles, and also putting that investment in, because it does require a capital investment to purchase a really powerful device, get all the accessories you need, get really super fast low ping internet, all of that stuff. It's like, it's an investment, right? Because if you want to take the drops like really seriously, then you invest in your tools. So here is a list of smartphones by performance. Now obviously Apple devices tend to perform the best. It's just because they're more powerful, the chips are more powerful, and it does matter. And the reason for that is what people don't realize is when they're doing drops, And this is very hard to see if you've only got like, you know, your one device in front of you. What I normally suggest is open up time.is on a laptop or computer and just compare, you know, how your device clock on a blind box, for example, is counting down compared to time.is or time.gov. I think some people prefer using that. But a more powerful device, when you go in and out of a drop page, it's going to sync up more accurately, right? It's going to spend less time rendering the page, which can cause the drop timer to lag a bit. And, you know, that very, very slight, you know, 20-30 millisecond lag, that can be the difference between you getting the drop and not getting the drop. And it's something that's very, very hard to adjust for. For myself, I have to keep sitting, I have to sit there and just kind of refresh 2-3 times, and then that kind of syncs it up enough. But a lot of people just aren't aware of that. So, you know, if you kind of scroll down, iPhones dominate the top of this list, and then you kind of get into, you know, these more powerful Androids like the OnePlus 9RT. You're seeing like some of the older iPhones, and then my phone is actually the Samsung Galaxy S21, using is this one here, Samsung Galaxy S21, the Snapdragon 888 So, you know, my phone is a fairly good phone. It is in the top 50, but there are loads of other phones up there which are less expensive than a Galaxy S21 but perform just as well as far as the drops are concerned. Now, other kind of points to consider is you need to do a ping test. You know, you need to make sure that you have low ping. In order to do that, you just need to upgrade your internet so, you know, you have a faster connection. And obviously a big part of this is location. Now, you can't just change your location where you live, so, you know, unfortunately that's always going to be a limitation, but hopefully a future drop system does kind of acknowledge that. And, you know, AWS, VeVe is built on top of AWS. You know, availability zones are there so that, you know, if you have, say, one data center which is hosting a VeVe application that's closest to you, if that's having issues, then your traffic kind of gets rerouted to the next closest one. So there's always like some availability there. But just on that point, you know, AWS, they do have data centers, so you can do ping tests to the various different ones and kind of see which one is your closest and what your ping to that is, because that is, again, very, very important to calculate. Now, in terms of the drop systems, I believe VeVe is going to have new drop systems coming, more than one different type. But is that going to be beneficial for everyone? At the moment, the current drop system, I would say, is a bit biased towards people such as myself who have invested in more powerful devices, you know, all the accessories, Ethernet cables, etc. But at the same time, if they were to just outright change the drop system completely, those who probably put, you know, the money into investing into better equipment, they're probably going to be annoyed. So, you know, you can never please everyone. But what's nice to know is at least VeVe is going out, they're looking at feedback, they are trialing other drop systems. But I think it has to be stressed that the number of people who are kind of just doing VeVe very casually, or who have, you know, restrictions based on their location, because I know Australia, they tend to struggle a lot with latency. The number of people within that bucket is very, very high. Okay, I would say it's in the hundreds of thousands. So a lottery system which then allows all of those people to have an equal chance compared to someone who maybe lives in New York, really close to, you know, like super low ping area with the top of the line iPhone, etc. As someone with a brick phone in Australia, they would have an equal chance compared to that person who has, you know, a really powerful phone in New York. So you just have to take that into consideration. And, you know, when you have this bucket of people who are always kind of disadvantaged based on location, device, etc., when they now have an equal chance compared to someone with a perfect setup, you're going to start to see a period where drops, rather than becoming a once in a while thing, or, you know, some people hit, you know, once every couple of weeks, you're going to enter an age where people get one drop per season if they're lucky. And a season's usually about 6 months long. So, you know, whether that's the right way to go about it, you know, I personally don't care, because most of my gains are made in the secondary market. But, you know, I think in a way it could be interesting. It could be kind of exciting if, you know, someone managed to land, you know, a drop in a and we kind of know that the average amount of drop people get is maybe like one per season. So, you know, getting like two in a season, that could be like the new, you know, super exciting, hyped up thing. But, you know, I think for now, the current system, there are some drawbacks, but I believe they need to trial other new systems to run concurrently so people can kind of get a feel of the various different systems and see the pros and cons, so that VeVe can then start to do one more than the other. You know, that's kind of like what I've seen them do with blind boxes. The blind boxes were a good idea because now, you know, people can't just target one type, so it did make it a bit fairer in a way. And I noticed they started doing a lot more blind boxes, so I'm personally really happy with that. You know, no complaints from me. Now, lastly, just the price of OMI for today. So we said earlier, you know, last week that OMI was going to be trading sideways and sitting on this trend line. That's basically exactly what it's doing, and I don't see it leaving this region. So yes, there has been more updates on Immutable X. Like if you look at the shops, the items you can see in the description, they mention a little bit on Immutable X now as well, which is pretty cool. So yeah, Immutable X is coming, but at the same time, it's their first time doing a migration. So, you know, if they have some kind of blocker, then that's fine. You know, it will happen when it happens. Immutable X migration is a very sensitive thing. You know, we don't want people losing their assets, but at the same time, that is kind of one of the things that's blocking us. But it's not the only catalyst that can send OMI's price to a, you know, 1 cent region. We have, you know, a list of exchanges that is going to be released soon. Soon as in once, you know, OMI has the token swap over to the new blockchain. And then we also have, you know, a lot of more users being onboarded onto the app. Again, those users are going to be introduced to OMI. We have the MTL coming up, you know, the OMI Utility article, Master Collector program. There are a lot of catalysts, not just one. So as far as OMI goes, you know, I would say it's at a point where it's a lot less riskier than it was 6 months ago. You know, 6 months ago, we had just kind of like seen the absolute crash following the Uniswap listing. And, you know, we were sat in that kind of 0.2 cent range for like ages. So it's good to see OMI on the up and up. But again, I believe for now we will just be trading sideways. So pretty interesting stuff. Now, that's pretty much everything I had to go through with you guys today. Do check out the description below for the official OMI Homie merch. You can use my K10 for you can use my code K10 for a 10% discount. I will be revealing the winners of the giveaway in my next VeVe video, so do stay tuned for that, and also details for the upcoming Christmas quiz as well. But yeah, as always, please do like and subscribe to the content, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.